Kingdom theology on business and wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enter the kingdom of God with a worldly mindset about money, you will live poor in a rich kingdom. And the most dangerous thing of all is that you might think you are rich. Let me ask you, how much do you own? And do you really own it? Or are you merely holding something that doesn't belong to you? Psalm 24:1 says, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. So if the earth belongs to him, whose land are you standing on? And if he is the owner, what are you? You are a steward, a manager, a truste. Dear friends, one of the most dangerous things religion has done to us is teach us to beg God for wealth without teaching us to manage it. We want to accumulate rather than distribute. We want to possess rather than execute in the kingdom. You don't own anything. You are entrusted. Look at how Jesus taught. He didn't say, I came so you could be rich. He said, I came that you may have life and have it abundantly. Abundance is not for hoarding, it's for distributing. So, dear friends, you need a revolution in your thinking. You are not a seeker of money. You are a steward of the king's resources. You weren't created to be a billionaire. You were created to be a kingdom steward. And I tell you this, a steward is never poor, but they also never live as if everything belongs to them. Think about it. If you are an ambassador of a nation, you don't need to own land, cars, or banks, because everything is provided for you according to the standards of the nation you represent. You live by the economy of the nation you come from, not the place you're in. So, where do you come from? Paul says, our citizenship is in heaven. Philippians 3:20. If you come from heaven, you live by heaven's economy. Not controlled by Wall Street markets, but by the kingdom supply. You see, kingdom people aren't affected by inflation, they're affected by obedience. That's why when you understand you're a steward, you'll never beg for what God has already entrusted to you. You just need to know how to use it for his purposes. Every resource you have, from talents, time, to money, must be repositioned in the light of the kingdom. You are not an owner. You are a distributor. You are not a hoarder. You are a sower. You are not a stockpiler. You are a multiplier. You are a kingdom person. And the kingdom needs you to wake up. So don't pray to become rich. Pray to become trustworthy. Remember, in the kingdom, the size of the resources you receive doesn't depend on your greed. It depends on how much you've proven your ability to manage. Now, you might ask, so why does God give wealth if I'm not supposed to hoard it? What am I supposed to do with it? Great question. And that's where we're headed next. Get ready, because in the next part, I'll show you why the King of Heaven entrusts you with resources. And if you understand this, you'll never be poor again. Are you ready? We're moving to the next part where purpose meets resources. Where you start living as one who is sent, not just one who is blessed. Dear friends, if the previous part freed you from the mindset of ownership, today you will be repositioned to live with the mindset of stewardship. Because in the kingdom, every resource has a reason. The king doesn't allocate based on emotions. He invests based on purpose. Let me ask you a blunt question. If you were the king of a kingdom, would you entrust the national treasury to a citizen who doesn't know what to do with it? No way. That's why Deuteronomy 8:18 says, but remember the Lord your God. For it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors, as it is today. All. You see, wealth is not a reward, it's a tool to fulfill the covenant. Kingdom wealth is a spiritual instrument. It doesn't come to make you comfortable, it comes to help you complete your mission. Kingdom wealth is a resource given to accomplish a heaven-ordained task, not to build your personal palace. If wealth doesn't serve heaven's purpose, it's feeding your own kingdom. Jesus told us a story about a successful farmer in Luke 12:16-21. The man stored so much that he had to build new barns. Then said to his soul, rest, enjoy. But God said, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared? I ask you, how many rich people die empty? Full bank accounts, but empty souls. They are billionaires in the bank, but beggars in the kingdom. Because you cannot measure kingdom success by your balance. You must measure it by your faithfulness to purpose. God doesn't give you money to make you important. He gives you resources to accomplish something important. You were born for a kingdom purpose. And the King of Heaven will not invest in something he didn't create if you haven't discovered why he created you. You have no basis to demand kingdom wealth. Remember, the king allocates resources not based on pity, but on mission. So, before you ask for provision, ask for vision. Before you ask for finances, ask, Lord, what in me needs to be fulfilled to expand your kingdom? Kingdom wealth comes when you prove you know who you are, what you're sent to do, and you dare to take responsibility for the resources entrusted to you. If you want more, be faithful with little. Luke 16:10. If you want to be entrusted, be faithful with what you have. Matthew 25-21. If you want to be a distributor first, become trustworthy. Write this down. Resources follow responsibility, not emotions. God doesn't provide wealth for you to consume. He provides wealth for you to operate. You are a kingdom distribution center, not a warehouse. You are a pipeline of blessing, not a reservoir. You are a keeper of the kingdom's treasury for a generation, not a builder of monuments to yourself. And now, if you've realized that resources come for a purpose, the next question is, what tools does the king want you to use to create kingdom impact? The answer is business, but not just any business. Kingdom business, a form of financial leadership established by God to extend heaven's influence on earth. Get ready, because in the next part, we'll explore how to do business that doesn't just generate profit, but generates eternal kingdom impact. Are you ready? We're stepping into heaven's strategic instrument, kingdom enterprise. Dear friends, if resources are tools, then business is one of the most strategic weapons in the hands of a kingdom person. But sadly, many have used this tool to build personal empires instead of expanding the kingdom. Hear me clearly. There's nothing wrong with profit. But there's something very wrong with stopping at profit. In the kingdom, profit is not the destination. It's the byproduct of a right purpose. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Kingdom wealth doesn't come because you're smart. It comes because you're faithful. Kingdom success doesn't come from strategy. It comes from obedience. Kingdom business is the convergence of the Creator's creativity, the stewardship of a child and the service of a kingdom ambassador, we need to redefine business. It's not where you buy and sell, it's where you represent. Who are you when you do business? An owner or a messenger? A money maker? Or one sent to provide kingdom solutions? Kingdom business is where purpose creates products, not where the market controls your soul. If your product doesn't carry kingdom value, even if you sell 1 million units, you're only enriching the world. Kingdom business is where employees are not assets, they are legacies. Your team is not a tool to make money, they are the image of God. And trusted stewards, people to be equipped and elevated. A kingdom enterprise is a gateway and embassy of heaven on earth. When people step in, they must feel kingdom values, integrity, service, quality, dignity, justice, and obedience. Matthew 25 to 14:30 tells of those entrusted with talents. The faithful one didn't bury the resources but multiplied them for the kingdom. The lazy one was cast out not for failing to preserve, but for failing to produce. Jesus didn't praise the one who kept safe. He praised the one who produced for the kingdom's purpose. In other words, in the kingdom, if you're not growing, you're betraying the trust. So the question isn't, what industry are you in? It's, is the industry you're in expanding heaven's influence? This is the kingdom measure. If you step away, will the market lose a representative of heaven? Let me ask you, are you training your team to be kingdom people or just pushing them to hit KPIs? Are you sowing back into the community as part of obedience or just calculating taxes? Are you investing in the next generation or just in marketing? Dear friends, you're not called to just have a store. You're called to have kingdom influence in the marketplace. Kingdom business creates environments, not just products. Kingdom business shapes culture, not just consumption. Kingdom business serves heaven's purpose and not just market demands. I know what you're thinking. How do I run a kingdom business in this world? What principles do I hold to avoid being swept away by secular currents? That question leads us to the next part where we explore the principles of operating kingdom finances. Stewardship, sowing and reaping, fruitfulness, and purpose. Because it's not enough to have a business. You must know heaven's rules of the game. Are you ready? We're diving into the foundation of the king's economic system, where you don't just profit, but produce impact. Dear friends, if you want to run a kingdom business, you cannot play by the world's rules and expect heaven's results. You must understand the kingdom has its own financial ecosystem. It doesn't run on markets, interest rates, or the Dow Jones. It runs on principles. And if you don't know the principles, you beg for what you were meant to operate. I want you to write down the 4 kingdom financial foundations every kingdom entrepreneur must live by. E, stewardship. R, sowing and reaping. San, fruitfulness. S, purpose alignment. E, stewardship. Everything you have doesn't belong to you. You don't own, you manage. That's why Luke 16:10 says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. If you're not faithful with 10 million, heaven won't entrust you with 100 million, because the kingdom doesn't invest in the careless, no matter how well intentioned. Look closely. God doesn't check if you're successful. He checks if you're faithful. Faithfulness is the currency of the kingdom. If you mismanage, you lose authority. And the more you manage well, the more you're upgraded. In the kingdom, wealth isn't given. It's distributed through the door of faithful stewardship. Sowing and reaping. You cannot expect a harvest without sowing seeds. Galatians 6:7 says clearly, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Net. What you sow, you reap. Where you sow, you reap from. When you sow, you reap in season. That's why true kingdom people don't give out of emotion. They sow by principle. Sowing is investing in the king's plan. And I tell you this, if you don't sow for the kingdom, you're feeding another kingdom. Ask yourself, where am I sowing? What am I building? And is what I'm building eternal? Sand. Fruitfulness. God doesn't just give you the ability to make money. He gives you the ability to create ecosystems. In Genesis 1:28, he said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Seku. Fruitfulness isn't just about having children. It's about producing systems, value, solutions. A kingdom business doesn't stop at profit. It creates culture, opportunities, and people. You can open a café, you must produce a kingdom environment, a kingdom team, and a kingdom space. If your business only sells products, you're not living up to the kingdom design. You must produce. Purpose. If resources don't serve heaven's purpose, they become a burden. If wealth isn't placed correctly, it fools pride. That's why Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. I emphasize first, not after you buy a house, not after you invest in stocks, not after you're financially stable. Hold me. First, the kingdom. Purpose determines your position in heaven's financial flow. If your purpose is just to pay off debt, you'll always lack. But if your purpose is to supply God's will, the King of Heaven will ensure you lack nothing to fulfill it. When you live by these 4 principles, you're no longer just a business person. You become a kingdom resource manager. And heaven can trust you to distribute to cities, to nations. Dear friends, I ask you, can heaven trust you with $1 million? Do you have a kingdom mindset structure? Do you have kingdom values? Do you have a kingdom reason for that money? If not, the king will hold back resources because he loves you. But if you're ready, heaven is ready. And the next question is, how do I become a true kingdom person in today's cutthroat market? How do I avoid being swept away by Babylon's system? We'll answer that in the final part where we lay out the strategy for living kingdom prosperity in a world dominated by consumerism and spiritual blindness. Are you ready to become a kingdom entrepreneur in these last days? We'll finish strong in the next part. Dear brothers and sisters, if you're still here after the 4 previous parts, I believe you didn't come to get rich, but to become one who is sent, because getting rich without kingdom impact is just a sophisticated version of consumerism, but we're living in Babylon financial media, education, and political system designed to make you dependent, competitive, and consumed to exhaustion. A system that makes you believe who you are depends on what you have. And the question is, how do I live, do business, and prosper by kingdom principles in such a system? The answer is, you're not a hostage in Babylon, you're an ambassador to Babylon. Remember Daniel, my friend. He didn't pray for Babylon to collapse. He was trained to stand firm in Babylon and influence it from within. He didn't compromise, but he also didn't retreat. He maintained kingdom distinction among royal advisors, upheld heaven's lifestyle amid worldly politics. You can do the same. You don't need to abandon the market you're sent to reshape it. You don't need to leave the city for the countryside to be pure. You need to bring the kingdom to the city, to supply chains, to startups, to corporations, to technology, to branding. But to do that, you must be equipped with three things. E, uncompromising kingdom identity. R, strategic kingdom thinking. SAN, kingdom community. E, kingdom identity. You must know who you are before you enter the boardroom. If not, the system will label you. Don't let the CEO title replace your ambassador role. Don't let success make you lose your identity as a child of God. You're not a brand, you're an instrument. You're not an influencer, you're a kingdom impactor. R, strategic kingdom thinking. You need to think beyond cost, profits, and marketing. You must ask, does what I'm doing bring kingdom benefit to the generation? Every decision from hiring products, partnerships, to plans must pass through the kingdom filter. Not everything logical is right. Babylon is logical, but the kingdom is righteous. SAN, kingdom community. You cannot live kingdom alone in a worldly system. You need companions, kingdom entrepreneur. Kingdom leaders, kingdom mentors. Where there's no kingdom community, you slowly become like Babylon. You need people who dare to remind you, don't build your own palace. Build a tabernacle for God. And you need people to stand with you. Don't grow weary in doing good, for eternal rewards are coming. The reality today is too many young people are online learning to get rich quick while heaven is looking for those who are faithful. Slow and steady. Too many courses teach how to get rich, but no one teaches how to be full of gifts, full of vision, full of kingdom principles. Too many people build personal brands without realizing that heaven wants you to be an official representative of the King. Dear friends, you can earn $1 million and still be empty-handed in God's eyes. But you can also become a kingdom person and be entrusted with treasures no one sees. Remember, kingdom wealth isn't measured by your wallet, but by the footprints you leave on a generation. This conclusion isn't an end, it's a summons. I summon you, not just to dream big, but to think right. I summon you not just to do business, but to make an impact. I summon you not just to make a living, but to fulfill a purpose. You were born at the right time in a chaotic Babylon to be a powerful kingdom ambassador, bringing heaven's laws into every decision, every strategy, every contract, every life you touch. This is your time. Stand up. Don't dirichti empty. Don't die fully, having given away everything you were entrusted with. Dear friends, don't let this generation pass while heaven is still waiting for you to step up. Now is the time to build your business like an altar, to operate finances like a spiritual tool, and to live like an unshakable ambassador. Bring the kingdom to the marketplace. And let Babylon see that the true king has come